In a world plagued with demons that lurk around every corner attempting to cause trouble for the innocent, possess the guilty, and eradicate both of them, there's a human demon who dedicates each of his days to being the greatest paranormal detective of them all, the strongest demon slayer, the legendary devil hunter, the son of Sparda, Dante, from Devil May Cry. After taking down many threats such as Mundus, the king of hell who is said to be the embodiment of a void itself, Argosax the chaos, the embodiment of despair whose presence was able to distort time and space, and many more reality warping threats such as these monsters, people have come to know Dante as one of fiction's most powerful characters. Although Dante Sparda boasts a lot of style and character to be analyzed, in this video, I wanted to focus on giving an explanation of Dante's overall strength and abilities, how he fares compared to most characters in his verse, and just create a stylish, fun video that captures everything that makes Dante one of the most cool and powerful characters in gaming. With that said, if you enjoy content such as this, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe, and now, let's get into it. There was once a legendary and all-powerful demon swordsman who was known as the legendary Dark Knight all throughout the underworld. He would eventually develop a sense of justice and go on to single-handedly defeat all of Mundus and his armies. After accomplishing such a feat, he would seal himself and all of his power away. After many years, he would escape his own prison and go to the human world to quietly live in harmony, and later on battling and sealing away Argosax, and eventually going on to meet a human named Eva who would give birth to his two children, Dante and Vergil. Dante is the brother we'll be focusing on here, as he is the protagonist for a majority of the franchise and serves as probably the most powerful character to this day. After his father would go missing and his mother would have her life taken away by demons right before his eyes, Dante would eventually grow up to be a demon hunter who operates his own business, referred to as Devil May Cry. Since opening this business, he's been on all sorts of adventures, whether it go from slaying kings of hell to stopping his brother from achieving power beyond the ability to cut the concept of space and time, and just more powerful beings who sit above concepts such as that. He's taken all of them down. With that said, I'll now get into his stats and abilities. First and foremost, we're going to go over Dante's strength. As Dante has traversed the world of Devil May Cry, he has slain many powerful characters such as Argosax, who is more than capable of easily creating an eclipse by just pushing the moon as if it were a toy. Argosax has also been said to be an equal to Mundus, another demon king. This demon king being so powerful and integral to the demon world that it almost completely collapsed upon his defeat. These multi-dimensional monsters that Dante has slain were at very early parts of his journey, and as he's grown as a devil hunter, he would even state that monsters on the level of those two were easy jobs for him. And I mean, that's not all talk. In the most recent entry to the franchise Devil May Cry 5, Dante finds himself fighting against Vergil, his twin brother and most powerful adversary. For those who don't know, these two brothers are able to strike with enough precision and power to casually cut space on top of each other's bodies. Dante and Vergil are often considered to be exact equals in terms of power and strength, so they kind of share each other's scalings and feats at their peaks. With that being said, we do see that Mundus eventually creates a universe himself in order to throw hands with Dante within it, and Dante is still able to defeat that same Mundus without much trouble according to Dante's words. Dante has simply grown far too much in terms of power throughout the entire series, and I'm sure Mundus really could make more universes than one if he created the first one as easily as he did, so I would personally place Dante around the multiversal levels of strength, as bro is just far beyond the version of himself that easily took down the universe generating Mundus. I don't really think we need to put much consideration into where we'd place him on the scale. There's a reason why people think very highly of this character. To further emphasize Dante's sheer dominance, let's not forget his feats of destructive power. Dante's raw power can be seen in his ability to casually obliterate large sections of the environment without even breaking a sweat. In Devil May Cry 5, Dante fights against Urizen, a being who holds the combined power of the demon world and has effortlessly shattered colossal structures just by engaging in combat. When Vergil as V is sent back to the underworld, Dante's reaction is swift, as he unleashes an attack that can vaporize entire city blocks. One of his most jaw-dropping feats comes from his battle with the demonic force known as the Demon King. Using only his devil sword Dante was able to deliver strikes that completely rip through dimensions, leaving gashes in space-time itself. And on top of that, his physical strikes are able to obliterate massive, multi-dimensional entities such as the Hellgate, an ancient structure said to hold infinite, ever-expanding demonic energy. Dante's power goes beyond what one can typically measure, consistently dealing with enemies who warp and manipulate space, time, and reality, and walking away victorious without the slightest effort. Simply put, Dante's destructive capacity is almost as infinite as the power he's fought against, making him one of the most potential and terrifyingly unstoppable figures in all of fiction. And if you thought the strength of Dante was insane, wait until you hear about the speed feats that back this man up. First and foremost, even if Dante were the slowest man on Earth, he has the ability to stop time through his Quicksilver stance. This is one of Dante's many styles in combat that change how he fights. In his Quicksilver style, he's able to simply snap his fingers and freeze the world around him by doing so. And even without this, Dante boasts some of the nastiest levels of speed across fiction, as in his earlier days, he was able to dodge attacks from Mundus within an area where he was omnipresent and made of darkness that was endlessly spreading. Dante's reflexes are beyond human comprehension. He's fought against people such as Vergil, who's known for his space-time distorting attacks, capable of cutting through dimensions and creating rifts in reality with every swipe of his sword. Vergil's Yamato is a blade that can manipulate space itself, able to distort the fabric of reality at a moment's notice. Yet Dante is able to react, dodge, and even counter these rifts with his own speed and precision. Not only does he dodge these reality-bending attacks, but he also returns fire with his own counters, showcasing insane reflexes. One of the more iconic speed feats comes from his fight with the Furies, these demons that rely on space-time jumps to attack. These Furies are so fast that they can warp in and out of existence before you can even blink, closing the gap and attacking with lethal precision. Even so, Dante, who has spent centuries fighting demons of all sorts, doesn't flinch. He casually dodges, parries, and counters these nearly instantaneous attacks, as if he can predict them before they even happen. This shows just how honed his combat senses are and why he's one of the fastest characters in fiction. In fact, Dante's speed is so extreme that it's implied that he is beyond light speed. A prime example of this is when Dante fights the Savior in Devil May Cry 4. The Savior is capable of firing laser beams across far distances, yet Dante can dodge these beams so quickly and effortlessly that they don't even faze him. This is a perfect representation of how his reflexes and speed go far beyond the capabilities of most characters. He doesn't just dodge light speed, he outpaces them completely. At the highest end of his speed, we see him move and react so quickly that he can engage in combat with enemies on a level that transcend physical limits. His combination of raw speed, combat mastery, and the ability to bend reality just makes him a force that is not just fast, but untouchable. Of course, Dante's defenses match his strength and speed. We see that his rival is a man who can cut space and time on top of him with ease, and he tends to just brush these attacks off. Even when an attack directly impacts Dante, he almost never takes any damage. Dante's endurance is so insane that it's a running gag for the character to get impaled and stuck up on some place with a sword through his chest without him really caring. Dante has fought against people whose attacks completely ignore durability, people who can create universes at a snap of their fingers, and just has a lot under his belt to suggest that he is practically invulnerable compared to most. We really don't see Dante take much damage even from Demon Kings. It's only Vergil who's been able to defeat and put down Dante at times. Really, compared to most people in his own verse, Dante can most likely not be hurt by anybody but Vergil and Nero. Now, to move on to the intelligence of Dante. This is going to be quite simple as it's easy to show you how intelligent Dante is. While Dante does typically play himself to be a fool in a jest, that couldn't be any further from a reflection of his true intelligence. Dante has been shown throughout the game to be able to pick up on really anything that's going on around him. We see that he's able to instantly become a great actor, musician, athlete, dancer, or whatever for the sake of following a bit. We've seen him instantly analyze all of his enemies and figure out whatever they're planning for the most part, grab a hold of any weapon and instantly master it in all of its abilities. To say that Dante is a genius, especially in battle, would be an understatement. Dante's battle IQ is up there with the best, no doubt. Now, to get into Dante's abilities, I warn you guys to buckle up as there's a pretty long list of things that this universe-busting jester can do. First, a lot of Dante's extra abilities come from his weapons, as they're typically made out of demons he's defeated and or other special means that grant them special properties. First, Dante carries many different swords such as Rebellion, which is a normal balanced blade that's able to withstand almost anything, Ebony and Ivory, Dante's favorite pair of guns that he carries 24/7, and can be reinforced with Dante's own demonic power and strength, which is why they're powerful enough to serve as a threat to characters such as Vergil. Ebony and Ivory also have their own separate traits, with Ebony shooting very powerful single bullet shots, whereas Ivory shoots out 3-round bursts. Dante also has access to Agni and Rudra, a pair of blades that have the powers of wind and fire imbued into them, allowing Dante to manipulate those elements while wielding these two blades. Nevan, a guitar that allows Dante to generate streaks of lightning all around him and directly towards his enemies when playing it. He also seems to be able to wield it in a scythe-like way whenever he feels like it. Lucifer, a skull-shaped backplate that grants Dante the ability to shoot out an infinite number of bladed projectiles towards any of his opponents while fighting them, giving him a passive yet extremely powerful method of using crowd control. Pandora, a briefcase that supposedly holds 666 different forms. This thing can go from a minigun, to a boomerang, to a missile launcher, and more. On top of all these forms, he can just open up the case and whatever comes out handles what's in front of him. We don't know what it is. Dante also has a set of gauntlets referred to as Balrog, letting Dante fight hand to hand. King Cerberus, which are nunchaku with the elements of lightning, fire, and ice imbued to them, and his most powerful weapon of all, the Devil Sword Dante. This was a blade that was created when Dante would finally achieve his Sin Devil trigger, and it's kind of like a bonus reward for achieving the peak of his strength from the plot. This blade was created after he would merge his trademark rebellion with his father's legendary blade Sparda, resulting in a blade that goes beyond the both of them. Past his weaponry, Dante has access to abilities that just come from himself, such as being able to make his opponents feel intense fear if he desires, technique mimicry, being able to just see whatever someone else can do and replicate it the best he can, although he's able to do this perfectly majority of the time. We've also seen him resurrect others here and there, and just do anything you can think of. If you somehow manage to challenge Dante and get past all the abilities and powers I've listed, then he will most likely resort to his Devil Trigger, a transformation that allows Dante to release all of his inner potential. Benefits that come along with this transformation include constant self-regeneration, the ability to fly, massive stat boosts all around, and bonus abilities such as Demolition, where Dante can grab an opponent and initiate and detonate a space-time explosion from within their own body, or the Loose, where Dante will focus tons of energy into his wings and send multiple beams of energy towards his opponents. The Devil Trigger and by proxy the Sin Devil Trigger are the peaks of Dante's strength rarely ever used. But if he's pushed to that point, he's practically unbeatable. Let's talk about some of the most intense and telling moments in Dante's journey. His fights with Nero and Urizen showcase just how formidable he is. First, there's a showdown with Nero. Nero, while extremely powerful in his own right due to his Devil Bringer and being the son of Vergil, is no match for Dante in raw power and experience. At one point, Nero and Dante face off in a battle that's both physically and emotionally charged. Nero, with his rage-fueled Devil Trigger, is able to land a few blows on Dante. But even at the height of his power, Nero's strength pales in comparison to the legendary Devil Hunter Dante. But of course, this was an earlier Nero, and we would see a more mature Nero fight Vergil and actually manage to keep up with him. But then, that Vergil was weakened too, so we don't know. However, Dante is still stronger than Nero at full power, and that's all that matters. Then we have Urizen, the true embodiment of demonic power and the primary antagonist of Devil May Cry 5 for the most part. In the beginning of the game, Urizen proves himself to be an incredibly formidable foe, possessing immense strength and almost a godlike control of the world around him. When Dante first encountered Urizen, he's completely caught off guard by the sheer scale of the threat, and his overwhelming power forces Dante to confront the reality that he may not be able to take this guy on so easily. However, Dante's sheer versatility and resilience eventually shines through. After Urizen destroys his iconic shop, Dante's resolve is only hardened, and the fight against Urizen is an emotional and physical test for Dante, with the final battle just showcasing how far he's grown. Dante goes all out here, using everything in his arsenal, from his weapons to his Devil Trigger, battling Urizen with an intensity that shows the full extent of his strength. But in the end, after multiple phases of combat, Dante is able to beat him and force his brother to come out of his shell. Now, when compared to other characters in the Devil May Cry universe, Dante is unquestionably at the top. While Nero, for example, is a very powerful character with his Devil Bringer, Trigger, and the blood of Sparda running through his veins, he lacks Dante's versatility and battle experience. The same applies for his brother Vergil. The major difference here is that Dante has already transcended the concept of power as most people may know it. While other characters in the series may rely on raw physical strength or a powerful form to dominate, Dante has honed every aspect of its being. Speed, intelligence, defense, offensive capability, they have all been sharpened to a point where he's not just a powerhouse, but he's a battle-hardened tactician. Dante has fought beings who manipulate time and space and even reality itself over and over. From Mundus to Argosax, he's faced off against these opponents that would break most heroes. But for Dante, these are no more than obstacles to overcome, not a reason to break a sweat. In that sense, Dante is not just a character who's strong, he's the embodiment of unyielding will and determination, something that even characters like Vergil, who is often considered his equal, can't always match. When it comes to Devil May Cry 5, it's clear that Dante stands apart not just from his enemies, but every other character in the series. While Vergil, Nero, and even Urizen have impressive abilities and feats, Dante's resilience, skill, and overall control over his demonic powers elevate him to a level where he's practically untouchable. Even in his most casual moments, Dante exudes a level of dominance that leaves other characters scrambling to keep up. Whether he's fighting his brother, stopping the rise of a Demon King, or both in the case of Urizen, Dante's unparalleled power makes him a character who's in league of his own, cementing his place as one of the strongest characters in gaming. With all that said, if you had to ask me how strong Dante Sparda is, I'd say that he's obviously the most powerful character in all of Devil May Cry, and at this point, I'd actually bet on him being the victor in a battle between him and Vergil. Although I usually keep these kind of videos to the character's respective verse only, I would even suggest that Dante is one of the most powerful characters in fiction. He can do just about anything, and there more than likely aren't many demons from other series that would be able to avoid being called by him. Thank you all for watching, and I'll catch you on the next video. Peace out.